Hello and welcome everybody to the Source Radio Jazz Confusion Power Hour. I'm your host for tonight. My name is Mel Albin, and for those of you listeners who have become fans of the show, and we have several hundred thousand that actually tune in and listen to us globally, we're going to continue in the same tradition that we started at the beginning of this series, focusing on behind the mind. When we talk to artists, what I want fans to know is the process of making music. They just don't come out with a recording and it goes on streaming and they show up on a stage and they sing or play their instruments. There's a lot more that takes place, and I want all the fans and listeners to get to know the artists and know exactly, how dedicated they are to their craft and kind of life they put in order to make music that we all enjoy. So tonight we have very special guests. We have the Crutchfield Jones Project. It's Shireen Crutchfield and Ricky Jones, and I think you're going to find them just interesting, enlightening, and you're going to love their music. We're going to play some of their music for you tonight too. So without any further ado, let me bring on our guests. Hello, Shireen, and hello, Ricky. How are you?
Hi, Mel. Wonderful. How are
Very
you?
good. Thank you.
I'm doing great. I want
That's
to thank you for being on the show. I think all the listeners are going to appreciate what you have to bring to them tonight. So
thank
hopefully you'll make a lot of new fans, by the end of the show, and your existing fans will be listening in too.
right on.
Yes.
Good, good. So yeah, let's start out. I'd like to start out by letting all the fans know who have tuned in already and all of our listeners. What do you two have going on right now? What are you working on? Any new releases? Any upcoming concerts? What have you got going?
We're actually what's it, babe?
I said, what do we have going on?
We're actually starting to rehearse with a live band, and
Mhm.
I just left Phoenix on some meetings that we're going to be performing in Phoenix on a regular and some other places. It's just started really and thank you so much for playing our record. It helped us starting to get shows, and you know,
So that's what we're working on. We're working on getting shows together and getting out there to
yeah,
meet everybody.
Oh, terrific. Okay. And and those shows, like you just mentioned, you're going to have a live band.
yeah. hmm
How many pieces will your band have?
I have a six-piece band with three background singers and Shireen and I.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah,
Okay. That
we're
sounds
gonna have
great.
fun. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Are you going to be doing any gigs out towards the East Coast or mostly staying in the West?
As of now, we're starting on the West Coast. Right now, we don't know as of yet all of our everything that's going on, but slowly we will get there.
Good. Okay. Good. That sounds great. So, okay. I want to know, um, you know, I guess if I'm talking to both of you, you can choose who wants to speak first. But what I really want to find out is when did you get the call that music was going to be your career? When did you first decide?
Here you go.
Okay, I'll start. Ladies
Go ahead.
first. So for me, it was probably in high school. I used to go to Soul Train. I used to be a dancer on Soul Train. So I would see all the performers come and perform, and it was exciting. Like I said, I was just in high school, so it was very exciting for me. And I actually wanted to be a veterinarian, but I'm allergic to animals. So
Right.
That's a problem.
that was a
Yeah, that's a big
problem.
problem.
So then I was in a three-girl group called the Good Girls. One of the other girls knew a man who was a manager, so we went to him. He started us off as the Good Girls. We were on Motown Records.
Jonathan Clark.
We did two
Oh,
albums,
oh,
and that's actually when I met Ricky. So I was fresh out of high school, so that's when the music bug hit me. And
And
you,
I
ooh,
I was singing as a little boy, 5, 6 years old. My dad used to be in a gospel group called the Mighty Echoes. So uh, every weekend, we would be at church or some church function and singing and concerts. And I met from the Shirley Caesars to the Five Blind Boys, the Gospel Keynotes, so many different people, the Winings, so many different people. And that's what started me.
where were you living when you
I'm from Vero Beach, Florida. She's from Boston, Massachusetts.
Right.
But
Oh,
I'm from Florida, so growing up in Florida, that's what we would do in a little town called Gifford, Florida. And Vero is where the LA Dodgers used to go for spring training because the weather is so beautiful there.
yeah. I lived in Mount Dora, Florida, in Central Florida for some
Oh
time,
wow!
just north of Orlando. So
Yes, yeah,
I know Vero Beach well. So, and Boston, Massachusetts, I've been to probably 1,000 times. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah.
both places are great for music. So, Shireen, what about your childhood? You grew up in Boston. Now, I know you went to high school in Los Angeles. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, how did that migration take place, and what was your childhood like before high school?
It was, I used to go back and forth on the coast. So I was born in Massachusetts. So it was just me, my mother, and my older sister. And so we grew up out there. And then my mom's job would take her to Los Angeles. We'd come out there. And then my mom's job would take her back to Massachusetts. We'd go back out there. So we
Okay.
would just go back and forth, periodically through the decades. And we settled out here because the weather is so much nicer in Los Angeles than Massachusetts. And yeah, just a pretty regular upbringing. I didn't, yeah.
Was there music in your house, like in Ricky's house?
There was. My mother used to love to play Eloise Laws and Al Jarreau
Oh,
and Angela Bofield, Phyllis Hyman. So
Yes,
I had
yes,
some really good music
yes.
to grow up
oh,
to.
that's yeah, that's terrific. So, so both of you had music starting out very early. Did you ever play any instruments?
I grew up playing the trumpet, and um, I played in jazz bands. Um, I went to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I played in the marching band in the jazz band. I used to sing for the band as well, so that was a beautiful experience.
Oh, terrific. Great. Shireen, did you play any instruments?
Nope. Just clap my hands.
Clap your hands. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Well, when did you have your first, let me say, professional music release, individually, each of you? When was your first one? How young were you? And what kind of music was it?
I was 18 years old on Motown Records with the Good Girls. And we put out our first single was called "Your Sweetness Is My Weakness," and I think it went to about, it's definitely top 10, top 5. I think it was probably number
On
4
Billboard, it was like
on the
5.
R&B
Yeah,
chart. So it was R&B.
yeah.
So we put out 2 albums on Motown Records, and that was a lot of fun. We opened up for New Kids on the Block.
Oh,
You
wow.
guys they went on
No
tour
More
with them.
Games. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
More Games tour. We did that, and we were just on all the TV shows back then and had a really good time because it was me and my best friends. And then, so 2 albums in.
Yeah,
Second album, I Think I Met You.
yeah. I was then I came to California, Mel, on a vacation. So I wasn't planning on being here. So I was leaving that Monday, right, to go to DC. So I was driving around with some friends, some college friends of mine, and singing in the car. And one of the guys said, "Hey, my brother-in-law is the vice president for marketing and promoting at Motown. So you want to go and to his house? It's 11 o'clock at night, right?" I wasn't expecting any of this. So we went to his house at 11 o'clock. He was sitting on his stairway. He said, sing. I sang. And he said, you need to be here. And he asked me, where do like actors and actresses go to act? And I said, New York, California. He said, where do singers go? I said, LA, Atlanta, and who else? New York.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, where are you? I said, I'm in LA. He said, but you got to know somebody. He said, hello, my name is Jonathan Clark. He said, now that you know me, what you going to do? I said, I'm staying here, baby. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Jonathan Clark was also my
Her
manager.
manager.
So that's how we,
Wow.
That's how we met, right? Right?
years and years ago.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about serendipity. That's kind of, I mean, how things, things happen for a reason, and
Yeah.
often, no matter how, you could be playing and singing your whole life and it doesn't happen, and then somebody you're driving in a car singing, you
Right?
end up with Motown Records. Can't beat that.
Hey, Mel, I only had 2 pairs of shoes, 2 pairs of pants, and 3 shirts. You know what I mean? It was literally like that. And didn't
Wow.
have, and I stayed with the guy that took me to his brother-in-law's house, and we became best friends and brothers, 30 plus years.
That's great. That's a
Yeah,
wonderful story.
yeah, yeah.
That's terrific. All right. Well, let me. You talked about you performing publicly. You already told us, Shireen and Ricky. When did you start? Your first professional releases, or what
Also,
happened at Motown Records? I'm sorry. What happened at Motown Records? What did they do with you, so to speak?
we released our we did one album at Motown. We went on the road on a tour with from Jodeci to Boys and Men. We did like promotional tours with these people and
So
great
I'm
groups.
sorry, he was also the lead singer of a group on Motown
Called
called
Yours
Yours
Truly.
Truly. So we were
Okay.
A
two
3 guy group,
groups.
yeah. We in two because we're in the same camp. So
I would see him all the time.
yeah, we'll see each other all the time. And the funny thing, Mel, is like we would take. You remember? I don't Fresh on magazines or Right on magazine back
Yes.
in Fresh, yeah.
Yes.
So
Fresh. Yes.
we were taking like photo shoots for that together, yours truly and the good girls and the craziest thing is back in the day that we used to all pair up and Shireen and I would always pair up, together, not knowing that 30 years later we'd be together, but I guess that just set the whole
Yeah.
um, dream or whatever, but it was a beautiful thing. We had fun, and we went on the road and I learned a lot of things for it's like being in the studio writing and I end up working with a lot of different people from Lionel Ritchie to Winona Judge, a lot. I mean, just singing backgrounds and I worked with Diane Warren as well. So I got a great experience, at the same time. As well as us being at Motown with the Smokey Robinsons and the Stevie Wonders,
Yeah.
Listen, Mel, for our first, what do you call it, babe? When you listening party, Stevie Wonder was sitting next to a speaker and listening to our music and bobbing his head out, and I'm like so happy. I'm like Steve is into our stuff. You know what I mean? It's just so it was a beautiful thing. Yeah,
Well, that's such a great experience.
yeah, it was. It
I
was.
mean, that's really wonderful. So so you were on tour most of the time, Ricky, right? You were just traveling and
I a lot. I worked traveled on the road. I was with working with other artists as well. I worked with Lionel Ritchie in Nashville. I traveled back and forth a lot of different places. And got a lot of experience. I was blessed to be in the company of a lot of great people. And I learned
yeah,
so much that helps us now. In the music.
yeah. The music industry. We'll talk about this a little later, but it's changed so dramatically in the past 30 years.
Big
You
Yes, it
know,
time.
has.
it was dominated by record labels and radio,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
both
yeah,
both are, both are dinosaurs to a large extent.
Yeah.
My station, Source Radio, we started out as an FM station, but now we're an internet FM station. We're both because
Wow.
it's hard to create a large audience just on FM radio anymore.
yeah.
So
For real.
through internet radio, and then we have thousands of listeners, and we're in 145 countries. So you have to adapt to the technology, and a lot of the things that used to be done, like A&R when you were at a record label.
Yeah,
Now you've got to do your own A&R.
Yeah,
that's right.
which is a beautiful thing because I think the artists have more control, per se, with the indie world. It's a beautiful thing. And a lot of great talent in the indie industry.
Oh, there's no question about it. The problem, again, I want to come back to this a little bit later, but part of the problem that I see, and maybe you see it differently, record labels were often accused, and I think Little Richard was one of the first to say
Yeah,
that they're not paying me what they owe me for the amount of records that's being sold, and
Right.
that was a problem. Well, now people are being paid what they're sold, but they're being paid 0.0008 cents a play. So
Goodness.
after a million plays, you made yourself $8,000.
for real.
Yes.
Yeah,
The characters, the actors have changed, but the problem hasn't gone away. And
yeah,
being a musician is a very difficult business. And yeah, you do have more control today, but it's
yeah.
hard to monetize. It
It really
always
is.
has been.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll get
yeah.
back and talk more about that later. But I want to know more about several years with the Good Girls. Um, you performed. I know you recorded, but you toured also extensively, like Ricky did.
Probably not as much as he did. We went on a tour called the Motor City Tour with all the Motown artists
Beautiful.
at that time, which was the early 90s. So it was the Boys, Today, a woman called Malira. There were several of us, and we went on tour together. And then after that, we got picked up by New Kids on the Block. And so we did the No More Games tour, which was a lot of fun. Those arenas were massive and tens and thousands of people. It was just a whole new world for us.
Right.
All of those screaming girls for New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it was fun. We had a good time.
Well, Shireen, besides music, and again, I want to just explore some of this with you. You also developed an acting career. How did that happen?
I did. It was actually between the first and second album on Motown. We were expecting the second album to come out. They delayed it for a little bit. I got upset. So I went to a modeling agency and I said, let me see if I can get some work. So I did. I went to a modeling agency. I signed up with Elite. And the first job I got was the cover of 17 magazine with Will Smith.
Wow.
So I started doing that. And then they put the second album out and I, did my touring with the good girls. And then I just continued modeling. And from modeling, I got commercials. And then from commercials, I got acting roles.
Yeah.
So
I kind of noticed, you were on Third Rock. You were on Love Boat.
Yeah.
You were on quite a number of different.
Amy Fox.
I was on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So how would you compare that to the music industry? Is it more challenging? Is it the same, or how do you manage both?
I manage both just day by day. I take everything day by day. Like we have children as well, so everything is day by day with us. And I would say it's challenging, but in a different way. With acting, it's a script. So I'll get my script and I'll put myself into my script. But with the music, I just feel like it's just more personal. Like all of the songs on our record, we wrote all of them. This is from our lives and from our heart. And so, but I love both of them equally.
So currently, both of you write your own music all the time?
We do.
Yeah, right. We write our own music and write for other people as well. We work on different projects with other people.
Just curious, do you score and chart also, or do you just do you lay down the lyrics, or
both?
You do both.
Yeah, I do with musicians. Both. I actually started because I had a solo album also on Universal. Doug Morris signed me on Universal, and so I actually started getting into it a lot more there. But I did a lot more of it myself with She and I, our album. I enjoy doing it.
How do you both decide on the song? Do you go to each other and say, "Hey, I got this idea," or do you hum something, or do you write down some lyrics? Like, where does it begin for both of you? If you're gonna,
there's so many different facets of that, right?
All of the above, everything you said.
Everything, yeah, for real. It's like
when we first got back together, because so after Motown, we both left Motown, and I went on and did acting, things like that, acting and modeling. He continued in the music. Right. He had 2 albums. A solo album, 2 solo albums, one independent and one on Universal. And then we came back together like over 25 years later. I wanted to get back into music, so I called Ricky.
And you know the crazy thing? The crazy thing is I did not have her phone number. She did not have mine. So I just got off the phone with Jonathan Clark,
who was our ex-manager.
So she calls, I'm literally hanging up. She calls Jonathan. I want to write. And then he said, who can I write with? And he said, I just got the phone with Ricky. Here's his number. Right?
So then I called him and then he picked me up, I think the next day, and we were out together and we just were like writing songs. Yeah. Like it was just crazy.
I had a lot of tracks, a lot of music, and God is just good, Mel, because we were blessed to go to studios because I've put a lot of work in as well. So a lot of the cats would say, man, come on, Ricky, let's do this, and believed in it, But we didn't think about doing a duet record. We were writing for other people and writing songs.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And she would do songs, I would do songs with, to pitch to other artists, as well.
I was actually gonna start doing songs with the Good Girls again.
Yes, yeah.
And so that's when we started writing songs, and we had all these great songs, and then it didn't work out with my group. And then Jonathan Clark, our former manager, was like, "Why don't you guys do something together called Crutchfield Jones?" And
What a great,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, thank God for that too.
Yeah, but we just write so well together. There'll be a track, and one of us will come up with a melody or words, and we'll just flow off of each other.
Yeah,
we're good writing partners, right?
Yeah.
So how do you come up with a melody? How does that process work?
Come up with some part of it, or I'll come up with some part of it, and we just feed off of each other.
Even after this conversation, a lot of my friends, I remember working with After 7, Keith Andes and I. And I remember sitting down the piano, and I heard somebody just whistling. So I mean, it comes in so many. I mean, honestly, like if in the middle of the night too.
Yeah, I've had a couple of dreams of songs and
exactly.
get up and write it down.
And if you don't, you can miss out on that. I believe it's a gift. These songs are gifts that God gives to us, and we have to gift it to the world. And I really do believe in that.
And this one right here, he's good at ear jocking. So we'll be at a restaurant, and we're just sitting, and he starts laughing, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's listening to the conversation over here, so he'll get stuff.
It's something about it. I don't know. It's like I really can literally hear, like,
he'll
seriously.
Get songs from.
And I know when people are arguing and at the dinner. I mean, so many different. Seriously, I can say, "Oh, you can tell they're married," and you so many different things. Oh my God,
He's got good ears.
She said, really "How did you hear that?" Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah,
I hear sometimes when you say stuff under your breath too.
I grew up in New York, and I had to, talk about serendipity. I went to Queens College. I met Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel.
Oh my God!
And Paul became a friend of mine.
Oh my God!
And I lost contact with him several years ago. But when we would go to a restaurant, and he would have a little pad with a little spiral pad he kept in his pocket, and he was listening to we were sitting right by where the kitchen was, and they had the swinging doors, and he would listen to the dishes being put in the dishwasher and being washed, and he would write down notes. He would listen to the dishes. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. And he would always carry this little pad with him, and he was always attuned to the environment, what was going on around him in terms of sound.
This one right here, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wonderful talent. It's an amazing talent to have, to be able to discern that and be able to, create melodies from that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really fascinating. It's really interesting to know. So, okay, so now you both got back together. And when was that?
That was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
No, wait, no.
13.
Wait, no. 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. What had changed between the first time when you guys were together and when you got together again in terms of your musical styles? Was there anything different, or was it just a natural, symbiotic relationship that was always there?
Well, we didn't write together back decades ago.
No, we did not. No.
And I really didn't write at all, not music. Right. And so it wasn't until I got with Ricky, started hanging out with him, that I just started writing songs. Right. But he's always been writing, and R&B is in his blood, and country music's in his blood. I keep trying to get him to do a country album.
I'm going to.
He needs to do a country album.
I'm going to.
Because he's a country boy from Florida.
Yeah, I am.
He used to catch alligators.
R&B, hip hop, and country goes together great. Look at little Nas. Look at Lil Nas. What he did.
Yeah, I respect that. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. I got his second album that he did by himself.
Right.
Was better than his first album.
I thought so too.
It was phenomenal.
I thought so as well. Yeah.
You thought so too? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give him all the credit. He's very talented. Very talented.
Yeah, he really is. There's a bunch of young, talented people out there right now. John Batiste, who I love.
John Batiste.
And Bruno Mars. These guys sample that old school music.
Yes.
And update it. But they're bringing that old music to young people. And I think you guys doing duets and R&B, that was classic back in the 70s.
Oh my God, yeah.
80s. So, you two, I think that's where music's heading again. I think it's going through a resurgence, going back to a lot of the really, they don't know where did hip hop come from. The kids really don't know, but once
Right.
they hear music sampled, and jazz is coming back, and
Yeah.
it's starting to make a comeback too. So,
Good.
this,
Yes.
yeah. So, I think you're positioned really well right now, to really gain a whole host of new fans,
Thank you.
because what you're doing, there aren't many people doing.
Right.
So I think you're carving out a unique space. Okay. So, all right. So let me play one of your songs that I love, Cloudy. Okay. And
Okay.
after I play it, maybe we can talk about it a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, I love the vibe in this.
You take aim, you fire away, you pierce my heart with the things you say. Sometimes I'm not in the mood. Seems like I want you gone, but ain't no sunshine in the room when I'm all alone. Oh, when we talk and disagree, my whole world is cloudy, cloudy. When emotions are high, war in our eyes, the night seems like it's falling. I hate when we fight, when we talk and disagree. My whole world is cloudy, cloudy. When emotions are high, war in our eyes, the night seems like it's falling. I hate when we sometimes I'm not in the mood. Seems like I want you gone, but ain't no sunshine in the room. Oh, when I'm all alone. When we talk and disagree, my whole world is cloudy, cloudy. Emotions run high, emotions are high. War in our eyes, the night seems like it's falling. I hate when we fight, when we talk and disagree. My whole world is cloudy, cloudy. When emotions are high, war in our eyes, the night seems like it's falling. I hate when we fight, when we talk and disagree. My whole world is cloudy, cloudy. When emotions are high, war in our eyes, the night seems like it's falling. I hate when we fight. Go away, go away. I hate it when we fight. I hate when we fight.
It's lovely, really lovely.
Thank you.
So how did this song come about? Which one of you was the inspiration for this one?
Well, she hurt my feelings one day, Mel. So and the whole day, my whole day, she was. I don't know. I just didn't feel good about it. And then I came home and said, "Baby, you know what? You started this day off wrong, and you made my day. The whole day was cloudy. No, but it's pretty much almost true.
It's real.
For real. Yeah. For real.
Well, out of adversity comes genius. That's a great song. So, yeah, is this part of an LP or an EP?
It's part of our EP. Yeah. We have a 5-song EP called the Crutchfield Jones Project.
Yeah.
Terrific. Okay. And what do you have? You said you were working on something now. Another.
We're always working. We have more to come as well.
We have so many songs, Mel. We have so many songs.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great thing.
Are you working on an LP or where is it?
Yes, we are. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Will it be separate from the EP, or are you going to include the EP songs on the new LP?
It'll be all new.
It'll be all new.
All new.
Yeah.
All new.
And when can people expect that out?
We're gonna wait because we're gonna you're hearing Cloudy now, but on the EP we're gonna release one more single off of the EP, and then I don't know as of yet. We don't know as of yet.
No, we don't know yet.
Not sure. Yeah. Okay, but will it be sometime in 2023?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Have to.
You can definitely say that.
Yeah. Have to.
Good. Yeah. I want to spend. I started talking about this earlier. I wanted to spend a few minutes on kind of the record industry or the music industry where it stands today. Yeah. The kind of music that a lot of R&B has been kind of crowded off the airwaves by a lot of urban music, and there's a lack of diversity. That there used to be, you can get a blues station, a jazz station, an R&B station, a rock station, top 20, but it's gone by the wayside. So, again, I think it's starting to make a comeback. I think that
I believe that too. It feels it.
Yeah, young people want something fresh. They're tired of the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, but so how do you get an audience? What do you do to get an audience, given the difficulty of getting airtime? What do you do?
I mean, just what we're doing now. The internet, just getting out, letting people see your faces, performing live. Social media, performing live. It really is. So you have to make yourself. You have to be accessible for people, for your fans as well, and they need to know what you're doing. And this is what we're doing.
And where to find you.
Yeah.
Let me make a suggestion. I think you two would be great at this. A couple of my friends who I've had on the show. One of them is Brian Culbertson. And Brian was on my show a couple of weeks ago, and the other one's Mesa. Mm-hmm. Mesa is a good, and they've done something really interesting. It grew out of the pandemic. Mesa started Mesa's Kitchen. It's every Friday night, and she cooks and she sings.
Oh,
and she's starting to attract a very large audience. She's getting several thousand people subscribing to Mesa's Kitchen. And Brian Culbertson, who is the consummate businessman, he runs 2 festivals, one in Chicago and one out in California. He tours all the time.
Yeah.
But Brian started something called Brian's Hang during the pandemic. The Hang. And he started on a Monday or Tuesday and started to draw quite a number of fans. So we moved it to Friday. He got all new equipment to do internet broadcasting for his studio. And,
wow.
and he did something really unique. On his latest trilogy, his latest release, he had the people who subscribed to The Hang, there were probably over 1,000. He composed a song with them live.
Beautiful.
They composed it with him.
Beautiful.
They would comment. He would play a bridge or play part of the few measures, and people would make comments.
Right.
And so he wrote a song and released it. It's doing very well, and it has several hundred people credits on the song.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
And the reason I'm mentioning this to you, you two could do a show, start your own internet show. And I think it would be so natural for you. And I think you start to attract a whole bunch of people by subscription, you know, to start to come in.
Remember
Yeah.
you suggested that too, okay?
But I think you'd be great at it. It'd be so natural. And you can both sing and you can, and I don't know if you cook.
I do cook.
Excellent
Well,
cook.
actually, you cook too, but I cook.
She's an excellent cook.
I was
There you
thinking
go.
about that as
There you
well.
go. It's just something to think about because, you mentioned earlier, Ricky, and I think you're right. Artists have a level of creativity potential now they didn't have before. And the media lends itself to it. But you have to take advantage of it. And for young people, young musicians, it's very difficult, to stake out a career anymore. But the vehicle is there, and there's ways you can explore it and do things with it, and we all can learn and do new things. But I think what I wanted to kind of get is your take on, what would you say to a young person who wants, when I say a young person, I'm not saying you people are old by any means, but I'm talking about a person who's in their teens and wants to maybe have a music career. What advice would you give them? Because you both had such diverse experiences. What would you say to them if they're starting out today?
Starting out today, I would say, as best as you can, understand what you want to do, what you want to say, and who you are. Start making steps every day, even if they're small steps. Stay consistent. And basically just stay consistent. Stay consistent with your work ethic, doing something every day, because there will be problems. There will be things that bring you joy and move your project forward, and there will be things that are not so good that'll move it backward. But you have to stay consistent and know that when a problem does come, it's just something for you to figure out. It's just something for you to learn some new information from. It's all about learning. This is a learning process, and it is a process. And just do something every day. Try not to get too discouraged, because there will be things that will discourage you. But keep going.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I would add, you said it beautifully. I would add and just say you have to be true to yourself, and you have to eat and sleep what you love. And no matter what, too, because it may be like, she may have a dream that say, for instance, that I don't know. Like, God tell me, Ricky, do this, right? So I may do it, but he didn't tell her. So you have to believe and be true and trust in that process. And you're right. You have to do something every day.
And also be practical. Sometimes you got to get a normal job first so you can fund your dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the good old days when actors used to work as waiters and waitresses in Hollywood until they got their call.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yes.
Yeah. But but what about the business side? Do you have any advice for someone who's starting out? Because it used to be you keep playing until a record label calls you.
Well, if you yourself don't have that business expertise inside of you, which I kind of don't have, surround yourself with people that do. Right. Find people that believe in you, that love what you do, that root for you in their core, and build a proper team, a team that can help in the areas where you're weak. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
No, that's it. You're right. You got to surround yourself around I call it the liking. Like, if I was a lawyer, I would be around the best lawyers so I can learn to get clients and go where they go. So I'm going to go and drink bourbon and whiskey with them and talk lawyer talk. So you have to surround yourself around that caliber of people so that you can learn the business. And you won't learn the business unless it's trial and error. You have to put your foot in yourself.
That's right. Probably the hardest thing is finding a good manager.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of managers, but finding the right one, it's like finding the right doctor.
That's true. It's about the fit.
Yeah.
They might be good, but they may not be good for
you.
Yeah. And there's other people now they need to surround themselves with people who are very versed in social media. I mean, you have to create a fan base, and
that's huge.
Yeah. So you can do it by two ways, streaming and recording, or you can do live and you can do internet and, start putting your stuff on YouTube. There's so many different avenues but you have to build a team. I think you're right completely, Shireen. That's really important.
Yes.
So if you can't, it's hard to succeed just on your own.
Oh yeah.
You need
You
people.
got to start building that team
You
today.
can't do everything. You're going to burn yourself out.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
And don't expect for it to happen overnight. You know, you have to brick by brick. You building a house.
that's true.
Yeah. This is another thing that I've found recently in the music industry quite a bit. When you songwriting, it's you can do covers. Start out doing covers. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, a lot of people make a career in covers. One of my other friends, Macy Gray. Macy does a lot of covers, and Macy's never met a song that she doesn't like. I mean, she will do alternative. She'll do gospel. She'll do rock. Yeah,
I love her voice.
I do too. I love her song selection.
Yes.
The song selection is incredible.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be necessarily a writer if you have a good sense of what you can sing the best.
Yes.
And
The wonderful thing is you've got the platform. The internet is just an amazing platform, and you could do whatever you want. So if you want to do covers, do covers. If you want to write, children's songs, you could pretty much do whatever your heart's desire, and you have a platform to put it on. And we don't know what's going to hit and what's not going to hit. So.
That's right. You're absolutely right about that.
Mm-hmm.
How about your kids? Are they musically inclined?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I know what one of our daughters. She's at Tulane right now, and she was singing in a jazz band in New Orleans, and she's doing opera in different languages.
Like amazing.
And
something that we don't do.
She sounds like her voice is so angelic.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we've got musical kids.
I'm doing a gospel song this weekend, and I'm starting it out. So I'm getting all the kids' voice on here, but with a choir as well too. So I'm excited about that too as well.
See, that's what you can do for your internet show. You can be like the Brady Bunch.
Right.
That's right. We actually have 3 boys and 3 girls, blended family.
Wow. There you go.
He has 3, I have 3, and
now you have a choir.
Right.
So, look, this has been really great. I've just enjoyed having you on so much. And I love the music that you do. To hear people who are doing duets again, made me really happy when I was able to bring you onto this show. So,
thank you,
man.
Really, really appreciate it. And I want all the people listening. I wanted to show them where they can contact you.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us about some of your contacts? One of you take them through it.
Well, okay, so we do have Instagram at Crutchfield_Jones. Facebook is at Crutchfield Jones. YouTube at Crutchfield_Jones. TikTok at Crutchfield Jones. And we have our website, www.crutchfieldjones.com.
And Myron Werfrin, Unlimited Wealth.
Thank you, Myron.
Thank you, Myron, so much. We love Myron.
I love Myron too.
Awesome. Yes.
Myron really works hard for his artists.
Yes, he
He's
does.
a good guy.
Yeah.
That's what you call good management.
Yes, that's that team.
That's
Gotta
what
have
he's
a
actually
team.
doing as of this point. We appreciated all the work that Myron. We really do. Yeah.
He's a good man.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm curious. I never asked Myron, but maybe you can tell me. Is he related to David Ruffin?
I do believe so.
Okay.
I met Myron. Okay, Mel. Okay, watch this. I met Myron 3 months before we hooked up through our
Jonathan
ex-manager,
Clark.
Jonathan Clark.
Wow.
He's a great friend around Jonathan right now. I know, right?
Boy, you two have fated to be with each other.
I keep telling him.
I mean, every place you turn, one of you shows up.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show, and I'd love to have you come back after you have your ready to release your next LP, and I'll be glad to promote it on the show and put it into our rotation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you. Thank you.
Terrific. Well, you have a wonderful evening, and thank you
as
so
well.
much for being on the show.
All right,
Thank you. God bless you, Mel. See you
You
later.